Starting.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to join us for today's first iteration, our first session of our Town Hall mini-series. So during this mini-series, JP, Emmanuel, and myself are going to be covering a topic titled Designing Frozen Delights with SolidWorks ECAD Solutions. So a little more to come on that here shortly. To kick things off and to do a little housekeeping, as always, we just want to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Let me get this out of there. Everybody is comfortable with the user interface and GoToWebinar. So really the whole purpose of setting this up as a town hall webinar series is so that we have an opportunity to interact with our audience. And to do that, we do it all around questions and answering. So within your GoToMeeting window in your palette there is actually a questions area. And in there, you can insert your questions at any point in time throughout the presentation. And then at the end, we will be having an open Q&A session, which we're going to have members of our ECAD Solutions team, who I'll introduce here in a moment, come on and answer those questions. So joining JP, Emmanuel, and myself today as panelists, we have Jan Killian from Product Introduction for PCB. We have Angie Gadala. She is a senior industry process consultant on the PCB side. Got Josh Moore from Product Management for PCB and CircuitWorks, as well as Chris Swaim, and he is a business consultant on the PCB side as well. So we'll have a lot of great individuals with some good input and feedback on towards the end. So please keep the questions coming. We look forward to interacting with you guys here at the end. All right, so, talking about today's webinar, we want to do a few brief introductions. So I'm going to try to turn my webcam on here. So everybody should be seeing me now. Hi, everyone. My name is Thomas Smith, and I am an industry process consultant for SolidWorks, focusing on our ECAD solution. I am based out of Denver, Colorado. So I live in a small town just north of Denver, but work with JP to support all of North America in regards to our ECAD solutions. I've been in the industry for about 12 years as a controls designer, as well as consulting and working on multiple ECAD solutions. And then for about the past year and a half, I've been on board with SolidWorks. So it's been great to be here. And now I'll let JP introduce himself.
I'm JP Emmanuel. I am Thomas's counterpart, based out of the East Coast, but we cover North America together, working primarily with the ECAD tools, but we're starting to try to grow that, not just ECAD tools, but a lot of the tools, a lot of the SolidWorks tools, as well as 3D Experience, which we'll hear a little bit about today.
Yeah, well, great, JP. Glad to have you on the line. So, when it came time, and JP and I were contemplating, what topic we wanted to cover in this scenario, we thought it would be, important that we put ourselves in the current situation in which a majority of our customers are facing. And given, the current pandemic and everything, and organizations being forced to work remotely, some of those prepared for that situation with the appropriate tools and technologies while others weren't. We wanted to put ourselves in that situation so we could really relate and see how we could overcome those challenges with the technologies available to us. So the 3D Experience platform and our ECAD solution tools. So we came up with this idea of creating a new project and managing that from start to finish. And so we came, in keeping with JP's alcohol theme from the brewery, we thought it was important, to stay true to those themes and kept it here with a margarita machine. So we designed, and JP and I had interacted and collaborated on this project from start to finish. And that's the kind of the journey that we're going to take you through with this session. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so you don't have to look at me anymore. I was really skeptical of doing that given my haircut, but I believe everybody's in the same situation. All right, so back to today's our webinar series that we're going to be covering today. So this is, a two-part series. And our first session that we're doing today is going to cover the PCB side as well as collaboration, project management, design. So a focus on being able to collaborate through the 3D Experience platform, utilize data management and PCB design tools, and then full collaboration with mechanical. Now, the second part of this series will be happening on May 19th, and this portion will be driven by JP. So JP has done an excellent job of putting together all the mechanical and SolidWorks electrical aspects of this project and integrating all of those solutions and technologies together. So he's going to continue off on where I leave off today. So talking about defining the PCB board and getting that in, then JP will place that and then perform all the electrical connections as well as creating, the final documentation. So, definitely and more exciting topics to come on May 19th. So be sure to register for both of those. All right, so for those unfamiliar with Dassault systems, we offer a wide variety of solutions that allow our users to connect and collaborate more effectively and honestly more efficiently, which is extremely important in today's world and obviously under our, current circumstances. Given that it's not just about engineering anymore, it's about bringing our entire organization together and being able to collaborate. So whether that's electrical design, simulation, our 3D and data management, all working together underneath the SolidWorks ecosystem, allowing for true and efficient collaboration and interactions between all departments. Now with today's portion focusing, on PCB collaboration and data management, I just wanted to give a high-level overview of SolidWorks PCB. So it is a professional, PCB design tool, that was specifically created to help bridge the gap between the electrical and mechanical departments. At the base and core of our application, we're built on 20 years of powerful technology, being powered by the Altium. But more importantly, we have direct integration with 3D. And this is really the differentiator, is how we can programmatically interact and exchange board information directly in application with our PCB connector. And then internal to our PCB tool, we also have comprehensive design rule checking and things like that that allow us to make sure our designs are accurate the first time. And then we can stay ahead of budget and deadlines, making sure that we have access and integration to real-time supplier databases. So all of this, lends itself to create SolidWorks PCB as a very powerful PCB design tool. Continuing on that theme with SolidWorks PCB, we have built-in tools that allow us to manage the ECO process, ensuring that we maintain your company's workflow. The interface is an interface that is easy to use, and it's users can get in there and feel comfortable. Again, I can't say this enough. We support the SolidWorks native Parasolid file format, so that when it comes time between this collaboration between the two, it's seamless. And, with further details and integrations of our technologies, we can improve our designs with such things as copper analysis. So, it's a really powerful tool. And let's take a little, deeper dive kind of into some of this PCB aspect. So, inside of here, we have, as I mentioned, all types of tools that you're used to working with. Your design rules, you got your planes and interactive differential multi-track. You have native 3D built directly into the application so that you can realize your designs in 3D, as well as all of the schematic capture tools that you need to create detailed and accurate schematics paired and linked back to your board layout. So all these tools, schematic-driven design rules, hierarchical multi-channel design, ERC verification, and as I mentioned, robust ECOs. All of this leads itself for SolidWorks PCB, as I've mentioned, to be a very powerful design tool for your organization. But really where the focus and the emphasis for this particular webinar and the concept of taking this project from start to finish is all about the collaborative environment. And with the SolidWorks PCB connector and direct integration into SolidWorks Mechanical, we can make that collaboration seamless. For those organizations that have struggled with having to pass step files, DXF, IDF, and IDX files, and all the frustration that goes along, with those tools, you can forget that. That is now out of the picture. And with the direct integration of the PCB connector, all of this happens programmatically in the background through push and pull operation. Is all we have. We made a change inside of PCB. We can push that into mechanical. Mechanical can pull down those changes, make their changes, push and pull back in. That is really the extent of our PCB connector. So as we say before, you know, everybody is now certified to operate and work with that SolidWorks collaboration. It's as simple as push and pull. And, you know, given the restrictions that we're faced today, you know, normally we were all residing in the same office. And if this level of collaboration didn't exist, you know, we were either hollering over the cubicle to the mechanical guy next to us, throwing something over, and those means are, you know, are out of the picture now. So we need to look for and find new and innovative ways to collaborate with our teams during these current situations. And the collaboration between PCB and mechanical lends itself to just that. So let's talk a little bit deeper before we get in to some more deeper details of this project and talk about, you know, the collaboration under 3 lights. So we'll talk about being able to communicate the concept, the intent, and obviously validation of our designs given the connector. So, you know, one important thing is always to be able to define our board outline and mounting holes. So this directly inside of SolidWorks, I can communicate these changes, add my holes, and modify my board shape. Electrical or back in PCB is directly fed this information instantly. They can choose to accept those or not accept those. And so again, being able to communicate the concept quickly and easily on the front end will save time downstream and all the benefits that ensue from that, as well as being able to communicate our intent. You know, where are placement barriers going to be located? What about our case and our enclosure information? As you can see here, that information is defined in SolidWorks, and then immediately, again, through the push and pull interactions and the programmatic exchange of information, all of that is instantly relatable to both mechanical and electronics within this application. And then finally, you know, it's important to understand and verify our part placement to ensure that there is no interference or anything that is in the way. And so being able to validate these changes and see them in real time and to pass that back and forth, again, great benefits when it comes, you know, to collaboration, where these types of actions were performed, you know, manually before as far as the exchange of information. So given the circumstances today, being able to directly pass this information between mechanical and electrical is critical. You know, and not even to mention that, you know, so we have the interaction to go back and forth between, you know, exchanging the data between PCB and mechanical. And so we have all those benefits of improved collaboration. But then in addition to that, given the full suite of projects and products that we have available within the SolidWorks ecosystem, and SolidWorks specifically, we can take that and create additional value from it, such as, you know, being able to define and articulate detailed drawings that we didn't have the capabilities to do with the inside of PCB directly. We now have the full power of SolidWorks to realize those designs. And then even the ability to take it outside of SolidWorks and to visualize in other applications, you know, to create high quality renderings and stuff for marketing. So a lot of valuable information, you know, can be utilized within the SolidWorks ecosystem and through this collaborative environment. Now, there is one important feature that I wanted to hit on too. Now, the design that JP and myself did for this Margarita machine did not incorporate flex design, but this is something that I really wanted to take a moment and highlight, that this is a feature and function that's found within our application. So real quickly, I have this sped up just for time's sake, but what I'm going to do here, sorry, and I think I accidentally paused my screen, is real quick, you know, inside of mechanical, we're defining some changes that need to happen with this Rubin cable. So I'm going to start a new PCB board, and this is all happening directly from PDM. Now, I understand the speed is happening really fast here, but what I'm trying to show is just, again, the communication between this information back to mechanical. We found that 90% of people who deal with flex say that the problems reside on the mechanical side. And it is not a PCB problem, because PCB has had the tools in there within PCB design tools to specify and work with flex. But where the true pain comes from is from being able to articulate this on the mechanical side. So yeah, as I stated, 90% of our customers state that they have that, and links and bends can be a real problem inside of mechanical to communicate that information back, but with the suite of tools that we have available inside of SolidWorks, we can communicate and direct and control this information on an enterprise level. And so again, here you're seeing the exchange of this flex information between mechanical and electrical, all being facilitated through PDM. And so here inside of the PDM tool, real quickly going to add and define these bins. And so, and just doing the layer stacks here. Again, all real quick, I'm just giving you an extreme high level overview of the capabilities. But what I really want to show here in a moment is, again, the power of where we find of our tool and where the real benefits come with the SolidWorks ecosystem. And it all comes down to being able to make the mechanical adjustments needed so that these ribbon cables and components fit exactly the way that they need to inside of our enclosures. So we can come in with our mechanical properties and having access to these features, since it's programmatically part of the software. I can come in here and modify these angles, come in and adjust lengths, and use all the powerful design tools that I have at my disposal within SolidWorks to ensure that I am defining accurate information, right away. And this, this is going to remove the very time-consuming and difficult tasks of form and fit. A lot of that requires physical prototypes, and then when us being able to communicate this directly in SolidWorks Mechanical, utilize this information, and collaborate effectively, we eliminate all those problems. So, I mean, it's a straightforward process. And then, like I said, in addition to being able to actually model that and get our design intent and ensure form and fit, we have various other outputs, such as, drawings that we can proceed with as well. So, there's a lot of power in SolidWorks PCB, and for purposes of this webinar, we'll focus on the collaborative environment and the problems that those allowed us to solve during these challenging times. But another problem that people face on the electronics side is being able to manage their electronics data. And when we talk to our customers, we hear that, these are the issues that they are facing: duplicate files and file names. They're having a lot of issues with versioning and understanding what is the latest and greatest file. Lack of formal release processes. There's just no capabilities in their current tools. So we find, again, organizations that don't have, data management solution lack those formal release processes and are having to manage all of that manually. And then, those situations will arise when we have multiple people interacting with the file at the same time. And how do we manage that? And a lot of people, in organizations that we talk to struggle with this stuff. But, within SolidWorks and our connector between SolidWorks PCB and PDM, we can eliminate this pain. Because when we look at electronics data, we'll see such things as project files that are managing all of the metadata contained within those projects. We manage our schematics, which internally to those contain symbols, connections, and properties. We manage the actual our PCB board with the footprints, the layers, the traces. We have documentation that we're going to create, our assemblies, manufacturing, fabrication drawings, bill of materials, all of our outputs such as Gerbers, net list, etc. And then we're going to have libraries. And so all of this constitutes electrical design data. But really, what is this? All of this in the end is just a pile of files. And when we look at files and we think about PDM, that is what PDM does at its core, is it manages all of those files. So we can now incorporate our electrical design data, push that into a data management platform, and we can take full advantage of defined workflows, our bill of material management tools where used, and all the powerful capabilities that have been missing and causing a lot of organizations to face project delays and misordering of parts and things like that. So very powerful integration between the two. So just keeping quickly, with time, I wanted to talk a little bit more about today's roadmap, and we're going to try to get through this quickly so that we have, ample time for Q&A. But really what we're going to talk about is that as I mentioned before is the concept or the idea of taking this project from start to finish. I'm located in Denver, JP is located in Connecticut. And so we took a project from concept, managed that project with a 3D experience platform to ensure that we stayed within our time frame, met our deadlines. I managed all of my data inside of PDM that allowed us, JP and I, to ensure and have access to all the pertinent design data throughout the life of the project. I was able to communicate and create, the required PCB schematics, and also then fully integrate into the 3D mechanical. So let's start with, the first phase of this. And the first phase of our project was really, taking this from concept to project. And so, we needed, given the fact that JP and I were both located in different locations, we needed a means and a method to allow us to collaborate with this project, not only with JP and myself, but other members of our team who have other specialties. So what you're taking a look at now is the 3D experience platform. And I have created a dashboard that manages this project that JP and I are interacting with. There is a role within the 3D platform called the Collaborative Business Innovator. When you have this role, you have access to a collaboration environment and also project management, as well as, being able to manage your data directly in the cloud. So to start our project, JP and myself, we created this collaborative environment where we could communicate. We could put things on here such as posts. So, when we first had the idea of coming in here and creating this project, JP comes in and states that, this is our idea, where are we going from here? So we have a full list of communications that happen back and forth, whether that's sharing of media, simple hand sketches, passing ideas back and forth. The platform gave us a centralized location where all of this design data and communication could be housed centrally, and where we all had access to this information. So as you see through this timeline, we were able to communicate our design. Not only can we make posts, but we could also post direct, questions. So JP, posted a question about, cost. And in here, one of our colleagues was able to come in and validate this answer. So it came in, as a question, but is now listed as answered based upon this. So it's really nice that we can have this level of collaboration directly within the platform. So instantly notifications are sent out to the team or anybody who is signed within this platform. And we could manage that. So, as far as adding members of your team, these are all the members that JP and I were able to collaborate with through this collaborative environment. And so we can just take a look real quickly at our timeline here of different ideas and concepts, that were thrown around between JP and myself and our team throughout the life of this project. So it's a very nice, and it really aided us well as we communicated progress and asked questions and just collaborated throughout the project. But what I feel is one of the best and most beneficial use cases for this tool was actually the project management. So once we took it from the concept that we want to do this countertop margarita machine, and we had to take that from an idea to an actual project. So we have a project management tool inside of here, project planning from Innovia. And what you're looking at right now is the timeline of all of the tasks that were assigned to all the members of the project and how those tasks were assigned and obviously met our initial deadline of today. So this is a very detailed area in which we can work and understand the correlation between certain tasks, how those impact the timeline, etc. Again, a collaborative environment. So on a project level, we can manage members of any given project. So, in this case, JP and myself led this, but that allows, me to interact directly with JP and have tasks assigned for that. So we have, the ability to add members as needed. In this case, it was JP and myself. Now, taking a look at tasks, this allowed JP and myself to really articulate to each other and to the team, who was owning of what tasks and how those tasks, again, affect our overall timeline. So, when it came time to creating a new task, this was really, easy to do. We're going to call this final renderings. And so, when you create new tasks, you have a lot of power as far as being able to define descriptions, priorities of this task, completion dates. You know, if you want to have it fixed, what percentage it is, how many days do I expect this to take? So, you know, I'm going to leave it as, you know, a planned end of May 6th. And here I can assign it to all project members. So they are direct, you know, whoever was assigned to this project, I could create. And what's nice, you know, is again, as I work in here and create tasks, all of this information is being communicated back to my team in real time. And so that is, you know, where really the power of this platform is. Again, you know, for us to have a centralized area where we can collaborate. Now, see there, right now, I see that JP has marked a task as complete. So again, real-time collaboration. So if I come up here to my notifications, once they decide to load here, I'm going to see that, you know, that notification, the unread notification that JP has marked a task as complete. All right, I can click directly in here and see, you know, what modifications was made. So creating that PCB schematic has now been moved to done. Everything in real time has updated as far as what tasks are outstanding, what's at risk, and even the schedule is updating. So all of this communication as far as project information, what tasks need to be completed in order for us to achieve our deadline, we were able to track and utilize all of that directly within the 3D Experience platform. So, you know, again, a very, very powerful means of interacting with each other. And so, you know, as communication is happening, like right here, JP, you know, I assigned and created a task for rendering, and JP just now added, you know, his final rendering image. And so that is the level of collaboration we were able to maintain and have with the 3D Experience platform. So again, real-time collaboration, project management, assigning of tasks, and managing that data. So a very powerful tool that lends itself for JP and I to overcome the hurdles of being thousands of miles away from each other on different machines, et cetera. We had a centralized location of where we could go and collaborate through the life of this project. All right, so talking more, you know, about that PCB design, and I wanted to slow things down and talk a little bit about the PDM. So with direct PDM integration and the power of PDM, in this case, I am able to start a new PCB project directly from the Explorer window for PCB or for PDM. Here I'm going to come in, and I'm sorry, I did a fat finger there. I'm going to come in and type the name of my project. So I'm just filling out the data card at this point. So you're going to see we have direct data card integration, which for those of you who currently utilize you know, a PDM tool, then you will feel very comfortable with what you're being able to say. But through these templates that I can utilize in this workflow, I can have all of my project data and documentation generated from me with data cards and contains information where used. You know, here I'm going to copy these files as the docs, and I'm going to paste those as referenced into my PCB project so that all the links are maintained through all of my files. Again, full data card integration with that data. Now I'm going to come back and just take a look at some of my other electrical projects. So actually, I want to take a look at the library first. So I can manage, you know, those library elements as well. And the library elements too are managed and controlled by data card. All of this information, where used, powered, you know, lends itself on an enterprise level so that everybody has access to this design data. Now back in SolidWorks PCB, I am going to come back in here to my Explorer and open that new project that I was able to create and manage with PDM. And again, this is an enterprise level. So being that, you know, JP has access to this information as well, he has that direct, you know, visibility into this project data and where I fall in the workflow. So it pushed down my project information directly into my title block. Here, I'm just going to make an association again straight from my vault. I'm going to add the PCB board layout, the PCB doc as well to this project. Okay, so I got all of my, you know, managed project here. Again, I'm just going to quickly just pull some components over off of the library. Here is my board layout. So it's pretty rudimentary. I'm just going to save this into my repository so that I can collaborate with mechanical. Once that is signed, I'm going to go ahead and open my collaborative environment. So this is where that push-pull comes from. So this is my initial board layout. I am sending this over to the JP on the mechanical side, like, hey, here's my initial board. I created the project. JP back on his mechanical side gets a notification. He can come in and access this project that we both have access to through the PCB connector into SolidWorks. So again, I'm just going to save my assembly here. And once inside of mechanical, inside of SolidWorks, we have, again, all the power of that mechanical design tool to work in 3D and to come in here and make our edits and our changes in a feature-based technology. So I'm just going to further edit and define this board. So, I needed to define overall size. So we're going to come in here and place some dimensions, real quick, just making whatever modifications are required for the design. So again, just inputting some various variables, on the mechanical side. So JP is driving this to ensure, again, initial form and fit. So we will allow our mechanical guy to put in his values. I think we're gonna go ahead and place some holes in here as well. So we'll do some hole cutouts and get these positioned and placed real quick. So again, what we're demonstrating here is how that information is exchanged back and forth. It is always happening programmatically in the background. So, I don't want to bore you. I guess we'll go ahead and through and dimension this. I actually thought I sped this up a little bit, so you don't have to see all my dimensioning, but I get, all my dimensions in there, and I'm going to place my holes. So from here, I'm going to do a push back to PCB. Again, this is really where I want to focus all that power on. And then again, not only are we instantly collaborating back and forth in real time and doing it all in native format, but all of our, engineering and design data is being managed within PDM. So here, I can come in and accept these changes if I wanted to accept the new board layout. So there's my new updated board layout, from PCB. Here I got, my schematic capture. I'm just going to drop in, a couple components in here, place what we'll refer to, as currently critical component placement. So again, direct integration into libraries, just going to throw out some connectors here and just place a couple more parts. And then, we'll end up passing this information back to 3D. And again, it is all about the power of collaboration. So built-in native 3D, we can get an eye about that. But right back here, simple push and pull, I'm able to collaborate these changes direct with JP. So critical components have been placed. I'm pushing that back to my mechanical counterpart. Again, I'm residing in Colorado. He's all the way there in Connecticut, but he is going to be able to see and accept those changes if he so chose, which he will do so. And there's, our updated board. And, from there, things, JP could continue to take, this design into mechanical, do whatever, he needed to do as far as, mating this board into place and ensuring, proper form and fit. So, he's able to quickly get in and communicate that and get all that information articulated with the tools that he's already comfortable, working in a native file format there in PCB. And so, we were able to take this all the way through design, and JP will represent some more of this next week, but, take it all the way into our control panel, and realize our final PCB design, all collaborating, again, in real time through the PCB connector for SolidWorks. So a little quick recap. We were able to create and manage a brand new product from start to finish and track all of our associated tasks through product management of the 3D Experience platform and utilizing the collaborative business innovator role. We were able to manage our data on an enterprise level with PDM, with direct integration inside of PCB, and taking the full advantages of data cards and workflow processes and the power of PDM so that all stakeholders had visibility into that information. I was able to, create and design all of my required schematics and PCB boards. So we were able to successfully collaborate given our current circumstances with the tools and technologies available to us under the SolidWorks ecosystem. So some overall benefits of these tools allowed us to increase communication and collaborations between our mechanical and design teams. That happened on multiple levels. It happened on the collaborative environment on the 3D Experience platform, but more importantly, it happened directly in applications through the PCB connector into SolidWorks. We were able to increase our efficiency and productivity. All of that manual efforts that were taken, not only to manage the electrical data outside of PDM, but also to ensure, form and fit, and especially when it comes to things such as flex, we're able to, streamline those processes, which in the end are going to improve time to market. They're going to eliminate hidden costs, but they're going to ensure consistent manufacturing and assembly outputs. And, ultimately we want to be able to streamline our development. I am not sure, there might be a chance that I have fallen off audio. Can anybody confirm?
Nope, you're still good. I still hear you.
You're live.
You're still good.
Okay, yeah, it just shot me a thing and said your audio dropped out, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And onward. So, really the success from this comes from collaboration, right? And during these challenging times, it's important to collaborate efficiently. And, SolidWorks PDM allows us just to do that, whether it's storing and managing of our electrical files, our electronics data, our data sheets, PDFs, simulations, schematics, renderings, all of which is managed under the umbrella of PDM, allowing us to communicate our design throughout the project lifecycle efficiently and effectively. So again, it all comes down to who else can you share your data with? And with the SolidWorks ecosystem, we can share that with management teams, design teams, the shop floor, admin, marketing, logistics, etc. And all of that falls under, again, the SolidWorks ecosystem, falls under the SolidWorks umbrella. And with all of our products being able to interact efficiently and all of the collaboration that can ensue from that. So, SolidWorks has a very immense, package. And again, all of this is, out there to help improve collaboration and break down the barriers, that we're facing today and the restrictions and overcoming those through the uses of technologies. So with that, it does look like, we have quite a few questions. I hope, I know this was a very quick overview of the technologies, but, we just wanted to, get some thoughts and ideas in front of you about the technologies in place. So at this point in time, based on the topics we just covered, let's open it up for discussion. So I left us just about 20 minutes for that. So remember, if you have questions, go ahead and enter them in that dialog box, and JP will be the facilitator
All right.
of our Q&A.
So the first question is actually for you, Thomas. Which roles, is that the right word? Is what the way that this is set up here?
Yeah.
Which roles were utilized or are you using in this project? I guess that's referring to the 3D experience.
Yeah, and I know this might be a first experience or exposure for a lot of you guys to the 3D experience platform. But the way that the platform is set up is that we can assign different roles as a user. And based off of my user role gives me certain access to certain apps. What we saw inside of this presentation, I used a collaborative environment called the Swimmers collaborative environment, and also project management. Those are found under the role of collaborative business innovator. So I hope that answers the question, but that is the role that was utilized for all of the 3D experience work that I did.
One more question for you before you jump off. Can you explain a little bit more about the project planning tool that you showed?
Yeah, as far as, the project planning tool, let me see if I can tab back here real quick. It is just a very detailed and centered, place where we can come and set, exactly outline who's responsible for what tasks. And, so when it came down time, it consists of creating tasks, assigning those to any given project member. And within each task, as I demonstrated, we have the power and the ability to specify end dates and such things like that, which all come down into, helping us maintain and stay on schedule to avoid, deadlines, and to make sure that we maintain our deadlines and overcome any obstacles within that. But this is real time. As one of these tasks would update, it could impact the entire timeline. And all that is represented intelligently in real time. So it gives us a very good understanding of who owns what tasks and how those tasks further impact, the overall project timeline. So Project Planner allows us to assign individual tasks, see those, on a project level, and then be able to manage those tasks. We can even add such things as milestones and project information. So if we want to, enter a milestone where there is a critical action to be had, we can track and manage all of that. And again, really the power I felt come from this was being able to understand who owned what and how that impacted the overall project completion.
So one more question for you. How does it feel being the teacher and the principal at home right now with your kids?
It is overwhelming, to say the least. They're sedated right now. That's why we're not hearing them. And that is a joke. They're not sedated. They're upstairs locked in a room. But yeah, it's intense. I would rather do this full time than that. So.
Thanks, Thomas. Jan,
yeah.
You ready? I got some questions for you.
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's do it.
So welcome back, Jan. So first question I have for you is there currently a direct integration between 3DX, I guess 3D Experience, and PCB?
Well, when you say direct integration, I'm going to take a little bit longer way of saying it. From SolidWorks PCB, we can take it to SolidWorks Mechanical, or as our users know as SolidWorks. Once that data inside that, which is really PowerSolid models, we can export that and take it into the 3D Experience platform.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Let's see. I have a couple here that I think you can probably answer, being one of the PCB greats here. Is PCB a standalone tool or an add-in feature for SolidWorks?
Well, the SolidWorks PCB is a standalone tool that lets you design just PCB, but it communicates with SolidWorks with our connector product, which comes along with it. And in reality, when you work with one, it's really kind of working within one ecosystem. You just push the button, as Thomas showed during the video, and the changes from PCB shows up in SolidWorks. You can modify board outline, move components, and push it back to the SolidWorks PCB, and instantaneously it shows up, where you either one of the mechanical or PCB designer can either accept or reject the changes and counter propose new changes, which basically I call it the electronic ECO between both disciplines.
Okay. Let's see here. I think I've got 2 or 3 more for you while you're sitting here.
Sure.
Where is the central data storage set up at? I assume I saw that question pop up. Thomas was talking about PDM,
right,
off of PCB. So maybe you have a good answer.
So this is kind of a loaded question. Where? Well, question is, where do you want it to be? Okay, it's really up to the user or IT group. You can make it a local hard drive over your personal computer, or you can make it a server, and basically everybody ties into it and have access, just like you're using PDM system. You create a vault, and that's where everything can go if that's what you want. So in reality, we offer the flexibility of user decides how to set up that PDM environment and where to store it. Like I said, it could be a local hard drive, could be shared hard drive, or could be a server where everybody has an access to it.
Sounds good. Jan, I'll come back to you in a few minutes. Last question though for you is, what new hobby have you learned over the past 50 plus days since you've been sitting at home?
I didn't learn any new hobby. I realized how much I enjoy certain ones because I start doing more and more. And one of them is actually trying to go to the beach and not get arrested.
There you go, out in California. All right. Thanks, Jan. I'll call you back in a few minutes. Chris,
sure.
Why don't you jump on? Everybody, this is Chris Swaim.
I'm coming. There I am, all the way from southern New Hampshire.
So how was data exchanged between electrical and mechanical? I assume we didn't talk about the electrical tool yet. We're going to talk about that next session on the 19th, where I get into more of the electrical schematic, the I/O connections, not just the board. and the routing portion of it. But how is the data exchange between electrical and mechanical? So I can only assume we're talking about the PCB information and mechanical.
Yeah, so that's electronic. Well, let's be very specific in our language. Electronic is PCB, electrical is cable and harness design. So you may have noticed the ease with which Thomas was able to perform his tasks. So to be really clear, there are no intermediate files, no IDF, no IDX, no STEP, no DXF. So anyone that's ever read in a STEP file into the mechanical environment understands how long it can take. If it's less than an hour, you're probably pretty happy. I've heard of people waiting, allowing it to read in overnight, so it takes multiple hours. The way that data exchange occurs, and Thomas said the phrase several times, programmatic interface. It's a programmatic exchange. There's a process that runs in the background called SolidWorks PCB Services, an integral part of the solution, and that's the way in which those two communicate. So I can be sitting here in Southern New Hampshire, I can be talking to JP in Connecticut or Thomas in Colorado, and as long as we can each see each other over the net, the SolidWorks PCB Services is either accessible to me running the printed circuit board design solution. It's loaded in some either locally or in some central location. We're able to collaborate as though we were sitting next to each other. So the amount of time that it takes to actually exchange the data is more of a function of the quality of your interconnection, your network connection, than it is the size of the file. Sorry, I shouldn't say file, the amount of the data, although the more the data, the longer it will take. But we're talking about minutes, not hours.
Great, good answer. So my question to you, since I've already asked the fun question for the other guys, is
Did you lose me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we're having a little technical difficulties here.
Okay.
Can you hear me still?
You want to throw another question at me?
Yeah, let's see. You can hear me okay, and hopefully everybody else can.
All right, go ahead.
Go
ahead, JP.
So I know you're a big guy for walking. You walk all over the place. Whenever you're at the office, you go out for lunch and you walk everywhere. How many miles do you think you've walked in the past 2 months now, since most of us have?
In the past 2 months, so I've got my Fitbit, and I monitor my progress every day. What's really not unusual, but revealing about this environment is that now that everyone's more accessible, I'm literally sitting at my computer for 10 to 12 hours a day. I use the bulk of the working hours to talk to people either over the web or by phone, and then I use the hours, before 9 and after 6 to catch up on emails and things like that. So this weekend, for example, Friday and Saturday, I got over 22,000 steps. That's over 10 miles. And then yesterday was a pretty short day step-wise, and I did about 15,000. So
good for you.
What I'm striving for is over 100,000 steps a week, which is 13,500 a day, which is pretty doable.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris. I'll have some more for you here in a minute.
Okie doke.
Thomas, back to you.
Coming on now. Can you guys hear me still?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes.
I read you 5 by 5. All right. Does the project management tool interface with other tools such as Microsoft Project?
So I believe the question was, does the product management tool integrate with other applications? And I'm going to say, I didn't get the full question, but the way I understood it is no. There's not going to be any direct integration with any other external programs such as Microsoft. Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to ask or state, is that there is no direct integration such with Microsoft Project or other management tools external to the platform.
Okay. It's good to know, but you never know. Tomorrow, the developers are always changing the 3D experience platform. Exactly. And the project planning is changing so much, so fast. It could happen before we know it if it does. So
exactly. Being that it's a cloud-based technology and tool, the updates are happening all the time, right? They're just scheduled when and how we, as soon as they can get the updates in, it's a forever evolving, tool for the better. So more to come for sure.
So Thomas, you froze, so you can probably shut your webcam off, but I have another question for you.
Go for it.
On the push-pull feature, does the puller have to accept the push, or can they say no to a change? Even I know the answer to that.
So so no, you do not have to accept the change. And what is nice, and you probably saw it within some of the video that I did there, when there was a change detected, whether that change was mechanical driven or PCB driven, within the panel and the collaborative environment, I could accept those changes or not. I actually even get a visual of those changes and before I accept them or not. So yes, you do have the ability to accept changes, and then you can communicate that either direction based off of those circumstances.
Also, FYI, I just got word from one of the attendees who happens to be one of our team members here. He is correcting us. You can actually import Microsoft Project into Project Planner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't either. So yeah, whoever provided that insight, thank you. So I stand corrected, and I hope we clarified that for the person who asked. So they can be imported. Let's just, we'll leave it at that.
JP, I wanted to add something to what Thomas was just saying regarding the pushing and pulling. So just to be really clear, one of the advantages to this collaboration process is not just being able to seamlessly collaborate and communicate engineering intent. It's also a record of everything that occurred in that engineering and exchange process. Often people want to have a record of who did what, who accepted what, and if you're not accepting something, you're not rejecting it. I want to be very clear that that proposed change remains as a list of all the changes, and at some point needs to be resolved. But that change remains there as something that needs to be resolved. Either it's finally accepted or it's somehow addressed. But that's a critical part of the design process, is having that level of communication between two different disciplines, people that pretty much don't speak the same language.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. All right. Ingy, you haven't answered one yet. I'm going to pick on you for a second. Let's see. There you are. Ingy?
She's not going to come on. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Can you hear me, Ingy? Nope. All right. We'll try back again here in a minute. So, Jan, come on back. Got a couple more for you.
I am back.
There you are. All right. What are all the available output types for SolidWorks PCB?
All right. Let's get really technical for people who have no idea what it is. Just like CAM output, SolidWorks PCB provides all the manufacturing capabilities to build a board, and they come usually as a Gerber, IPC, or ODB++ outputs, along with the NC drill data for drilling it. So all of the data is included and can be created, and you can even set up inside SolidWorks PCB like an output job file and reuse a different one. And literally, you push only one button, and all the outputs generated automatically instead of going one by one by one.
Okay. Another one for you, Jan. Is there a plan for SolidWorks PCB to run inside 3D Experience platform in the future?
Of course there is. Just don't ask me when. But yes, we do have a plan to eventually get into the platform also, because that's our future.
You could see it. It'd be perfect to have it right now. So with everything going on right now, it'd be
absolutely.
Time is of the essence in that case. So let me get one more for you. Let's see here. How does this compare to the design capabilities of CATIA V5?
Well, CATIA V5 is our flagship platform, And the 3D experience is actually kind of model like it. So we really don't compare, we supplement each other. So you can design the PC board inside SolidWorks PCB, take it to the SolidWorks, take it to 3D experience, or if you want to, take it even into CATIA to see that representation of electronics hardware inside the CATIA. So we don't really compare or compete against it, we supplement each other.
Good answer. All right. So Thomas, let's bring you on back here.
All right, I'll try the camera.
You can try it. See what happens. You're there. I see you.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, here's an easy one. I could have just answered this myself. Is this video going to be shared? I missed the first 10 minutes.
Yes, yeah. So all attendees will receive a copy of the recording that should go out 24 hours from the start date of this webinar. And also, if you had any colleagues that wanted to attend that weren't able, anybody that registered will get a copy of the recording. So.
Okay.
And the meeting link that you went out today, it should be the same one for the second session, correct?
That
when
is
they registered, they should have
correct.
received.
Yes. So
okay.
the registration you used for this webinar, just create a calendar invite, and you can use that same link to get back in for next session. I tried to actually create a Outlook .ics file to add to the handouts, but it will not accept .ics file types as a handout, so I can't include an additional, unfortunately. So just remember to add it to your calendars. All right.
And then real quick too, JP, speaking of handouts, there are a couple handouts. If you go into your GoToWebinar panel, expand the handouts, we got some data sheets and some things in there that you guys can take for reference. How are we looking at questions, JP? Do we need to start wrapping up? I got a few more items.
I'm going to try to go to Ingie for one last one here. Ingie, you there?
All right.
Let's see. Let's see if she comes back. She tried to unmute herself on here. Still can't hear you though, Ingie. It's okay.
Can you guys hear me?
There you are. Hey, all right.
Awesome.
Hi, Ingie. All right, so I've got one question for you, and we have a whole bunch of questions. And real quick for everybody still on the call, if we don't get to your question now, they are all recorded. We do copy all those down, and we will reach out to you individually with answers to those questions later on. So Ingie, if I'm working with a vendor that does not have SolidWorks but has an Altium license, can we exchange data? Can I ingest his PCB design and manipulate it, maybe not interactively as if native SolidWorks PCB was used?
Okay, excellent question. So the collaboration piece is a technology that is also offered for Altium Designer users, which is the SolidWorks PCB connector. So everything that you've seen Thomas demonstrating with respect to the seamless collaboration between SolidWorks and SolidWorks PCB is identical for Altium Designer users. Again, it's the add-in, which is the technology for collaboration that it's available for Altium Designer. You don't have to have SolidWorks and Altium Designer running on the same machine, or even SolidWorks PCB for the purpose of demonstration. Thomas said we all have SolidWorks and SolidWorks PCB, and I have Altium on the machine for demonstrating purposes. But for vendors, all they need to have is the add-in, the SolidWorks PCB connector add-in that will promote for the collaboration between the electrical and the mechanical team. We can take it offline with the setup and the services and the collaboration piece, but again, everything that you've seen today is applicable to Altium Designer through SolidWorks PCB connector, and you don't need to have a SolidWorks license to host the collaboration means between electrical and mechanical teams.
Thank you.
And one last point, if I may.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, and I know I've had this conversation so many times, I know that more than one person is thinking, okay, so what do I need on the mechanical side in order to collaborate? And the answer is you already have what you need. Go to options, add-ins, you'll get a box towards the bottom, it'll say SolidWorks PCB connector, activate that. You have to do some directory setups, very simple, very easy. The point is everything you need from a mechanical side to collaborate with SolidWorks PCB or Altium with the SolidWorks PCB connector, you already own.
Good to know. All right, I'll take one more question. Thank you, Angie, by the way. I was trying to
You're welcome.
I was trying to think of a good question to ask you about corn. Oh, here's one.
I know. I'm like, did I miss out?
No, I've got one for you. I've got one. I was trying to think of one for you earlier. What show have you binged or started binging while you're on quarantine?
Billionaires.
Okay.
Billionaires. Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm promoting it, but that's pretty interesting show.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah. Thank you.
JP. All right, we'll take one more. There's a whole bunch of questions, like I said before. We have a lot of questions here. I'm trying to get through as many as I can here. But if we haven't answered your question, we do record all of these, and we will get back to you later on. Jan, one more question for you.
You got it.
During the ECO review process, does that block final release?
It doesn't. Well, during the ECR process, you do the changes. The final release does not happen in PDM unless you sign off and you say release. And it's really controlled by PDM. I think the question is more of a PDM question than the ECO. So in reality, unless the way you set up your release process and the sign off happens, nothing gets released. And basically that's what during the design process. But the point, once it happens at release, it actually demands that all the manufacturing outputs and everything will be generated during that release too. So, and you can customize that on the templates and the process using the workflow within PDM to suit your company needs, which will ensure that there is no changes going on and it's basically frozen for that revision and it goes out.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
You got it.
Stay warm out there on the beach.
It is getting already warm.
Well, Thomas, with that said, it is already 2 minutes after 2 o'clock. Do you have any other input that you'd like to put out there?
Yeah. Let me throw out a couple things real here. So, again, just everybody stay tuned for the second part of this. Tuesday, May 19th, JP is going to show us in detail the mechanical aspects, the integration of SolidWorks Electrical 3D, the schematic portion, as well as we'll bring in, how we interacted also with simulation and visualization as well. For those of you on the PCB side who would like to learn a little bit more about what I had to show very quickly, we have some on-demand webinars that you can check out. So if you're interested in the rigid flex capabilities, we have a webinar, Bend It Like It's SolidWorks, just for the overall simplifying the science of electromechanical design. We got a webinar on that and a webinar specific to the PCB PDM data management workflow. So again, these are very pointed webinars that focus in on those aspects. So
take a screenshot of those real quick if you want. So go back for 5 seconds, take a screenshot. And if you want one, just reach out to us. We'll send you a link.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, very, very valuable webinars from the PCB team. But thank you guys for attending this session, and we really look forward to seeing you guys on session 2. So have a great day, and thank you for your time.